Hey everyone, this is Leanne from Of Love and Shiplap and the founder of Sublimation graphics and tutorials here on Facebook. If you're joining us on YouTube, please be sure to come join our Facebook group where all of our videos air live before they are added to our YouTube channel unedited. And of course, if you're catching us live on Facebook, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can find all of our videos later on in our neatly organized playlists. Those links are in the video description depending on where you're watching. Today I'm going to be showing you how to sublimate an aluminum photo panel. As the name would suggest, this is a piece of cut aluminum that you can use for any number of things, but I will be using it to create a photo panel for my gallery wall today. I purchased mine for $3.75 from Single J's Sublimation buy-ins as a ready-to-ship item. You'll see that it's aluminum on one side, and it's got a white coating on the other side. This is the side that's going to be sublimated. And this blue is just a protective film that we'll be removing when I show you everything up close in the actual demo. These panels are relatively thin. I want to say they're about 1/32 of an inch. I didn't actually measure it though, but that looks about right to me. So because they're lightweight, they really make a great item to add to any kind of wall, including in children's rooms. Whether you wanted to put names on them or superhero pictures or princesses, like you really have a lot of options for something that's flexible in terms of home decor. Another great market that you can target with these is businesses. And that's probably the market that's going to pay a little bit more for the finished product of these because you can customize these with their hours of operation, specials that they have. Maybe their business has rules, like if it's a fitness center, a yoga studio, anything like that. Typically they have rules, so you can print those on here. If they are running specials at the same time every year, notes for their staff, like really there's a lot of potential uses for this in the business world. And the best part is they are so lightweight and thin that they could be stuck on the wall with some double-sided tape or some duct tape. I'm actually going to be hanging this on my gallery wall with command strips. And I mean, simple, lightweight, really affordable solution. So I know that sometimes we get products that we're not quite sure what to do with them. And I have actually had this photo panel for about 9 months. And I have a couple of them and I just wasn't sure what I was going to do with them until I started putting together the gallery wall in my living room. And I realized that the fact that this didn't have a frame on it was going to make it the perfect piece to kind of be a smaller focal point of my wall. So if you're not into home decor or you don't have a wife or a girlfriend or a significant other who is obsessed with home decor, then I'll just let you know that a gallery wall is basically a collage wall where you combine pictures and wall art pieces and, you know, word cutouts and things like that just to create sort of a appealing focal point, and it fills the space really nicely. So it's just one of those steps in the home decor world that's very popular and very good to accommodate. So this photo panel is 8 by 10 if I didn't mention that already. I don't need to measure it because I already measured it and it is exactly 8 by 10. Typically, when you're getting items like this that are laser cut, there usually isn't any real variance. I know I've stressed before that it's important to always measure your substrate because sometimes there are differences, but anything that's cut by a computerized machine typically has less room for error, which is great. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you guys how to set up your print. This is part of our new format because we have so many people who are just struggling with that. So I wanted to just cover that very quickly, and then we will go ahead and press this. You're going to find that this is a very quick and easy product to produce, and with a price point for resale of $12 if you're doing something simple like a photo to $20 if you're doing a item for a business, you definitely have room to make money and quickly push these out the door. So let's hop over to the computer and we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to be setting up our print in Affinity Designer on a Windows laptop. Regardless of what program you use, the steps to getting set up for this type of transfer of our photo panel is pretty straightforward, and the steps are relatively the same in all programs. It's honestly on you to know how to use your specific software if you're not using Affinity Designer, which we regularly do tutorials on. We'll start by going to File and then selecting New, and we'll create a document space that's going to be the same size as our print page. This makes the best visual and ensures that your product print is going to be the correct size. Underneath the Print tab, we'll scroll down for the letter selection and then hit Create. This blue line represents our print margins. Obviously, our print margins are much smaller than what is shown, so we'll click on Document Setup and Retrieve from Printer, and it accurately pulls the correct size dimensions from our Workforce 7710. And then we'll hit OK. Next, we need a base template to work with. Now, because this is a rectangle, we don't really need a special template. We just need our rectangle tool. So I'll select that in our tool panel and simply click and drag. Next, I'll go down here to our transform panel and adjust the sizes. We already know that our aluminum photo panel is 8 by 10, so we'll adjust the width to 10 inches plus 0.125 for a little 1/4 inch border that will ensure that we get complete full coverage without any white gaps around our edges. You always want to make sure that you are adding that bleed line in your templates, no matter what they are, just so you always get that full perfect coverage every single time. And then we'll do the same for the height, which we know is 8 inches, and we'll hit the plus sign and just do 0.25. So now we have our template to work with. Next, we're going to import our graphic. For this, I'm going to be using a photo, but you could also use like a template design where you drop in different pictures, or you could be using just any kind of generic design, anything that you choose. It's all going to be the same process. You're going to select the Place Image tool, and then you'll go and locate wherever your graphic is. Mine is down here. And we're just going to click and drag. Now we're going to resize this in a minute, but the first thing that I want to do is embed it into our rectangle so that when we resize our photo, we have a clear idea of how big it is and where it's aligning with the overall size of our template. To do this, you're going to click on your graphic in the Layers panel, and you're going to hover it over the name of your shape layer. So in this case, it's rectangle, but if you're using a different template, it might be something different. You always want to be hovering over the name, not the icon, the name. If you hover over the icon, you'll see this long blue bar. This indicates that you're about to move the layer below it, which is not inside of it. If you hover it to the right side of the icon in between the name, there we go, in between the name and the icon, it's going to crop your rectangle layer to the same size as your photo, as you can see that on the screen. So if I just move that down and you're paying attention to our screen over here, you'll see what I'm talking about. So there it is below. There it is cropping the rectangle. But we want this to be inside. So we hover over the name and it drops it inside. It automatically creates a group. So if we click our down arrow, we can see our photo, and then we can go ahead and resize it. I like to start by making sure I've got my snapping grid on, which is this magnet icon. And then I'll move my photo all the way down to that bottom corner until I get the red and green line along the X and Y axis to let me know that the edge of my photo is aligned with the edge of my rectangle template. Then I can simply grab the corner node and expand the size. Now, if we go all the way to the edge, as you can see by that green line on the right side of the screen, we'll notice that we've got this space up here. So obviously we need to keep resizing our photo. So now we are cropping out this part of the photos, and you'll find that no matter what kind of photograph you use, you're going to have to do a little bit of creative editing in terms of what is actually visible. For this particular photograph, this is my brother. He's down here in the front with the camera at the George Floyd protests, and I don't particularly care about all these other people, so I'm going to resize this just a little bit more so that he can be the focal point of the photo. And this is actually one of my favorite photos of him. Once you have everything resized, you just unclick. And if you click on the top layer of your group here, it's ready to go. All we have left to do is to rotate this. So I'll click on my rotate clockwise option and center that on the page. Ooh, there we go. So it's ready to print. We'll go to File and then Print. And you'll select your printer from your drop-down menu. Select Properties if you need to resize. Ours is already on letter size, so we're ready to go. Remember that your print settings will depend on your ink and printer, so do not copy the ones that you see on the screen. I'm using a Workforce 7710 with printer jack, ink, and paper. My settings are set up for that. Your settings have to be set up for whatever printer and ink and paper you are using. So again, do not just copy whatever settings that you see. So we'll hit OK, and then we'll hit OK again, and this will be ready to print. So now let's go grab our print off the printer and show you guys how to finish the sublimation process.
We don't really need a lot to sublimate our aluminum photo panel. We have our photo panel that I showed you already. Our transfer printed on our Workforce 7710 with printer jack, ink, and paper. We're going to want some heat gloves and some heat tape to secure our transfer. So we'll start by pulling off our blue protective film. And then we'll go ahead and just flip this over and line it up on our transfer. Now remember, we did put a 1/4 of an inch all the way around to make sure that we had full coverage, but because my brother is over here in the picture, I'm going to kind of shift it this way. The main thing is you want to make sure you've got even space across here and across your other side, just to make sure everything is straight. So we're going to go ahead and apply a couple pieces of heat tape to secure this. And you do want to do this carefully, not to move your aluminum plaque. I find that if you kind of rub if you have fingernails, right along that edge, it helps give it a little bit better security. Go ahead and do this side as well. Okay, we are ready to press this. It's pretty basic. So normally, most sublimation substrates, I should say, you put on your press like this with your transfer facing down and your substrate facing up. For aluminum and I believe some types of slate and ceramic, it's actually recommended that you press them with your transfer down or facing up and your substrate down. This is because these are heat conducting substrates. So let's move over to our heat press and we will get this set up. We are using our new Endurapress SD20. I purchased this from iColor. They do have some in stock. I know a lot of places are out, but this is also available at Sign Warehouse. I so far really love this press. It is a nice smooth operator. I'm just going to move my Teflon sheet off of there. So because our transfer is going to be on the bottom, we want to make sure that we are putting some protective covering there just so we don't end up with any blowout that gets on our rubber mat. We're going to put 2 sheets there just to be safe. This is a new press, so I'm still kind of getting used to it. And then we'll put 1 sheet on top just for this edge that we've got, just in case we have blowout in that direction as well. Now I'm just using painter's mask paper. This is honestly my favorite choice because it's just $2-3 at pretty much any hardware store and Walmart. We're going to be using firm pressure, 400 degrees for 50 seconds. So we'll go ahead and close our press. As I mentioned, this is my new Swing Away Endurapress that I just purchased. This is only our 2nd tutorial using this new heat press. I'm really happy with it so far. It is very smooth operating, and I really like its digital screen that it's got. You'll notice our temperature did drop a little bit when we put our substrate in. That is normal, nothing to be panicked about. We only need 50 to 60 seconds. It definitely depends on your paper. Because I'm using printer jack paper, which is high release, I'm going to go for 50 seconds because I know that it is pretty normal for this to release quickly, especially on this type of substrate. So we are just about there. And we're going to make sure we got our heat gloves on because this will be very hot and you do not want to touch this. Slide our handle over. Ooh. Try not to hit my wall. Ooh, hot, ouch. It is very hot, in case you didn't catch that. So let me just peel off my tape here. Oh my goodness, the tape is sticking. And you'll see we got, that's some really good ink release, right? All right, so I'm just gonna kind of hold this for you guys. Ooh, there's a little bit of a glare from the ring light. Let me see if I can turn that down for you guys. Well, it's a little dark when I turn off the ring light, but you can see this looks fantastic. We got nice even coverage. And now we just gotta let this cool. You can always dip these in water if you want to give them cooling faster. Make sure that you are using lukewarm water. All right, I just want to show you guys this one more time. All right, so there's our photo panel. Hopefully you guys can still see it pretty well even without the light on. All right, so it looks great. It's going to take a little bit of time to cool, so always make sure that you use your gloves in the meantime. And just like that, this is ready to go. If you were shipping this to a customer, as I mentioned before, you would just stick it in a poly or a bubble envelope, and then you can stick it in a poly mailer or a mailing envelope and send it off. It costs just a few dollars to be able to ship these because they're so lightweight. And these are great for gallery walls and kids' rooms with a resale value of $15 to $25 on average for this size. And then, of course, you can charge more for the other sizes. I've seen them, I believe, 11 by 17, and I think I've seen some 12 by 18 as well. You'd really just want to check with your various sublimation blank suppliers. And as I mentioned, I got this one from Single J Sublimation. The links for everything we use today are in the video description. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel or joined our group, please be sure and do that. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments and I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your night.